Configuring link local addresses was a piece of cake. But what about global unicast addresses? Well, let's find out. Assign the unicast address 2001 DB8 14:1/64 to R1's gigabit 01 interface. Configure R4 to use Slack to receive an IPv6 address from R1. Okay, this sounds a little bit more complicated. Let's jump over to R4. All right, the first thing we're going to do is enable some neighbor discovery protocol debugs on R1 and R4 so we can see all those cool neighbor discovery protocol messages we talked about earlier. So on R4, we'll type debug IPv6 nd, and then going over to R1 here, we'll do debug IPv6 nd for neighbor discovery. Now, let's go to configure terminal mode, interface configuration mode for interface gigabit 01, and we're going to type IPv6 address 2001:DB8:14:1/64. Now notice that the router sends out a duplicate address detection request, a DAD, followed by a neighbor advertisement, or NA, to the all nodes multicast, FF02:1. Now let's go to R4. And see here, R4 received a neighbor advertisement from R1's global unicast. Pretty cool. Now let's take the second part of the request. Configure R4 to use Slack to receive an IPv6 address from R1. So to do that, we'll go into configure terminal mode, interface gig01, IPv6 address auto config. And we see in the debugs that it's sending router solicitation messages, but it's not getting a response. Now remember, Slack uses router solicitation and router advertisement messages. In order for R1 to send a router advertisement, R1 has to be configured as an IPv6 router. By default, IPv6 routing is disabled, so we need to turn it on. Let's go back to R1. We'll turn on IPv6 routing with the command ipv6 unicast-routing. This command also does something else very important. It enables Cisco Express forwarding for IPv6. Now let's jump back over to R4. Now notice it says received RA with R4's link local address as the source, and then down it says the prefix 2001:DB8:14:, and then down a little bit more it shows us the auto-configured global unicast address. So if we type a do show IPv6 interface brief gig01, there we have our global unicast address. Cool. All right, we have another request from the customer. He says address all links according to the IPv6 topology diagram. Ensure all routers use Ceph to forward IPv6 packets. Let's take a look at that diagram. You can see here this looks very similar to the IPv4 topology, except it's IPv6 of course, and the ISP1 router is not on this diagram. All prefixes are /64, and the last digit of the address, also called the last nibble, is based on the router number, just like in the IPv4 topology. In this lab, we're going to configure R1, R2, R3, and R4 on screen, test everything out, and then if you're following along, I'll let you address the remaining links according to the diagram. Ready? Let's go to R1 and get started. Before we get to configuring IPv6 addresses, let's think about the requirement. The customer said to ensure all routers use Ceph to forward IPv6 packets. A moment ago, I pointed out that the IPv6 unicast-routing global command enables IPv6 routing as well as Cisco Express forwarding for IPv6. Now we can verify Ceph is enabled doing the show IPv6 Ceph command. And indeed it is. Now let's go ahead and address the link to R2, interface gig00, IPv6 address 2001 DB8:12:1/64 and hit enter. And there you can see the neighbor advertisement message going out. Let's jump over to R2. And we'll do the same thing here. IPv6 Unicast-Routing, interface gig00. This is facing R1. IPv6 address 2001 db812:2/64. And we're going to go and verify connectivity with a do ping 2001 db812:1, which is R1. And that works. Excellent. Now let's configure the link between R2 and R3. That is going to be on gigabit 01, IPv6 address 2001 db823:2/64. Now let's jump over to R3, please. We'll go ahead and enable IPv6 unicast routing here as well. Interface gig01. This is going to be facing R2. IPv6 address 2001 db823:3/64, and then finally facing R4, gig00, IPv6 address 2001 db834:3/64. And now finally, let's go to R4. We'll go ahead and do interface gig00, IPv6 address 2001 db834:4/64. We'll go ahead and turn off all our debugs here. Now let's go ahead and ping R3, 2001 db834:3. And excellent, that works. Now if you're following along, pause the video now and go ahead and assign IPv6 addresses to the rest of the routers according to the topology diagram. Remember to statically address R4's gigabit 01 interface as well. And please remember to save your configs.